keep up to date with our latest videos, please hit the button below. Hi there, good morning. Welcome to this video from racingbetdata.com. This video is intended to give you a bit more in-depth look at our data dashboard, how you can use the new filters and existing filters to generate a system and test that system. So that's what we're going to be doing. And what better way to do it than to use the system that we already displayed and showed you at the beginning of October. So there was a video that we did, and I'm just going to pop a link into this video to embed towards that other video if you've not already seen it. I'm sure many of you have, but we did a video at the beginning of October that showed you a system that we'd created and we were going to test, and we did test throughout October, and then the results of that were shown on the 1st of November. So I'm going to use that exact same system, but I'm going to do it in a different way. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. So let's get into the dashboard. That's where we're going to be what we're going to be using as our tool and our vessel. So I'm going to get that to load up. Now, it's really good now that we've added these filters in. We've had great feedback. It's just been just under a week since those were deployed, but people are really giving some good feedback on how it's giving them another string to their bow. It's saving them time. They're able to manipulate the data a lot easier and hone in on specific things and make those tweaks and adjustments as well. So it's really positive to hear, but I also understand that some people might have seen the video on these filters but not fully understood, well, how do I use them? How can we translate what I was doing potentially before in Excel using the pre-race download files and use the dashboard to do that instead. So hopefully this video will give you some light on that. Okay, so that's the intention. Now I'm just going to bring up the Excel file to remind you. This was the system that I created or demonstrated back in the beginning of October. Now it's been running again in November, and again it's profitable. It's had some bad days, bad spells, as all systems do. So again, that video that was released in the beginning of October details this and explains that there will be variance. So you've got to think of the long term. You've got to do your testing and understand how to deal with those swings. And part of the reason that I was speaking about automation was because it removes, or certainly reduces, those the volatility that a human has when trading or doing any sort of betting related activity. So it teaches you don't get so high and elated when you have some good days or a good win, but also, not to beat yourself up when you have a bad day or a bad couple of days and you don't see where the next win's coming from. If you've gone through the testing, you've gone through the relevant paper trading, you've got confidence in the system and the strategy, then you know that long-term things will turn, and over a period of time, that profit line graph will continue in an upward trajectory, which is what we all want. So this was the Excel that I showed you in that video, and again at the beginning of November I showed you it, and this is where we are for the month of November. So I've chopped it down, so we've just got November's output in here. So you can see we're at a profitable month so far to date, profitable in both the place and in the win return market. Now I also showed you, and I'm just going to go back to the website as well and show you where it is, but in the example downloads page there is a statistical relevance file which is free to download. There's separate videos on that, so I'm not going to go into that in any great detail, but what I did was transfer those formulas and calculations over into this sheet so we can automatically look at them. Now if you look at these p-values, really high, so not what we'd want and not what you would take as a reliable level to be able to confidently deploy a system. But I'll tell you why that is. The reason why that is as high as it is because we don't have enough selections. So we've got 604, but it's only 20 odd days. So obviously not a long enough period of time, or not a high enough value of bets to be able to do that, to display that confidence level that we need. I'm not sure why we've got errors in here, but I'll be able to I'm going to have a look at those separately, but it's irrelevant anyway. It's just the biggest winning and loss days for each one of those is gone awry a little bit. But our profit, you can see in here, which marries up with these figures here. So a profitable month albeit the p-value is far too high to give us any significance if we were using this month in isolation. Okay, so I would, if this was a system that I just generated, I paper traded it through November, I'd be enthused that it's showing a profit, but I'd be wary of the fact that the p-value is too high. That needs to come down to quite a significant level, so I know that I need to do another couple of months worth of testing and trialing to get the number of bets up and to get that p-value down to give me some significance towards the system being reliable and not down to luck. We've already done that, however, so the reason that I've been trading this throughout the month, and I did in October, is because I'd already had those several months and years worth of data, and I'd done that paper trading already using the Excel data and my criteria that's in the background here. So I have those confidence levels. It's not performed to the level I would have expected or wanted perhaps, but it's still generating profits, and in fact it's generating an average of nearly £20 a day, which is above average, but the fluctuation in this month has been quite great. So there have been some big losing days and some big winning days rather than a steady stream. So what some of you might be thinking is, well, I can't see it. What are you selecting here? And the same on the dashboard. Now, I've already spoken about this in other videos, and I'm going to reiterate the point. We don't sit here and give people on a plate, here are the selection criteria, you go off and do it, and that will generate you profit, because you can't, it's impossible to promise that. And anybody, not just me, anybody, any videos or any tweets that you're reading or any emails you're getting from people promising you a system, forget it. It's not worth the paper it's written on. You've got to think to yourself, why would somebody be giving that away or worse, selling it? If I was to sit here and do this video and give you a selection criteria that I have used myself in this over the past 8 weeks, if I was to give that to potentially 3,000-4,000 people watching this video, and they all went away, or even half of them went away and tried doing the same, they would not all get the same results. The market would move significantly in the place market because there's not a massive amount of liquidity. So if you have 400-500 even people trying to do the same thing at the same time, it's gonna influence that price. We don't have a massive edge. So like I've said, with £15-20 a day from the staking levels that I'm at is a decent enough amount over time, but it's still only a 1% or so return on investment or yield. And if you take that small edge away, then that £15-20 a month soon becomes zero, or worse, it becomes a negative amount. So there is absolutely no value for anybody. And don't sit there going, oh, I'm feeling hard done by because I'm missing out. You wouldn't be. If I was to tell you the system and everybody had the same thinking pattern as you and think, I'm going to go and copy that, everybody doing it would end up losing money because that edge would be gone. It would not be a profitable system. So the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do is explain the benefits of using our data, which is in the background, and we are now providing you with faster, better, more efficient tools to be able to get that data out, analyze, and devise your system and strategy. And I want to try and get people thinking outside of the box a little bit as well, not just, okay, let's just look at the horses that are favourites at Lingfield. Because it's just, it could be simple and it could be profitable, but you've got to analyze it, put it through the test the significance as well. But it's, you've got to think a little bit more in depth and use the controls that we're giving you. So these new filters, especially, this is what people have been doing for months and years with our pre-race download file. We've shown you before how you can combine those files using Power Query, and you can do mass analysis. That's great. Some people love that, and that is absolutely fine, and they can continue to do that. But what we're doing here by adding in these additional filters is making it easier for the people that don't have the time or don't have the knowledge or don't have the desire to do that in Excel. So we're bringing a different approach to the same problem. Okay, so yeah, back on track. We've not the filter criteria. Do not get tied up on that, and I've explained the reasons why. That's absolutely. That is just not what we're about. And if anybody's following anybody else and looking for tips, you've got to question why. I'll tell you one other thing as well. If I was to sit here and try and push people to do that, say, right, these are the selections, you've got to go away and follow those, I could quite easily manipulate that to my advantage. So if I was telling 300, 400, 500 more people to go and lay selection X running at race Y at time Z, I would know that those people would be doing what they would be doing. So they'd be laying a horse, when they'd be doing it, what time they'd be doing it. So whether I say they do that at post time. So how could I use that to my advantage? Well, I know that that price is going to shift. So 20 seconds before I'm expecting those people to go off and all place their lays in the market, I could be going in and placing a lay bet myself, knowing the price is going to shift, and then put a back bet in after, or vice versa. If I'm telling them other information, I could put a back bet in 20 seconds, 30 seconds before that, knowing that the price is going to move in the other direction, and I can do a successful back to lay or lay to back before the off and have green. So that's another thing to be wary of. Why are people telling me this information? There might be a hidden agenda behind that. They're trying to get the market moved in their favor, and they're not telling you that. What they're trying to get is more and more people on board to do something with a selection. So just be very careful following people's information. I'll also say as well, I know for a fact that I've had a couple of members, and not everybody, and I understand I don't encourage people to come and tell me what their systems are, but I know there are other people doing, if not the same, very similar, having very similar approaches to what I did during October. They've already got their systems devised, and probably doing that ongoing. So they're not going to be best pleased with me if I go and shatter exactly what they're doing by giving away the criteria they're using. So please try and get that out of your mind. Use the data to your advantage. There's tons of it, and there are tons of millions of different variables you can use. So, and there is profit to be had out there. But at the end of the day, we're here, to have a bit of fun. Nobody is going to become a millionaire through horse race trading or football trading or cricket trading. Some people can make a nice income out of it, and that is absolutely fine. But you're not going to get those people sharing that criteria, the system, the strategy that they have. So, like I said, you've got to think about outside the box, and we have all the data available that will allow you to do that. So after that, excuse the rant, but I think it's really important to make people aware, of the bigger picture. Back on with this system that I've devised. Now we have in our armory as well the ability to use save as selection management, and you can get to it from two places. It's on the top menu, it's also here, and what I've done is create this exact criteria. So the criteria that we used in Excel, using the pivot tables and a massive data to do all that testing over a number of years, we can do in the dashboard now. So fantastic, I'm able to do that, replicate it very quickly. But in fact, what I've had to do is split it down to two criterias, because there are ranges that I use that mean I have to split them, and I group everything together in one criteria, and then I do the other range in the second. But still, so much easier and simpler than doing it through Excel, certainly for testing. So I'm going to recall these, and I'm going to output them, and we're going to compare them to what we saw in Excel. So let's load up live criteria 1 and generate this output. So there's criteria 1, and I'm just going to output yesterday's, and just so we can see that. Obviously this is the recent data. We've already in the video gone through the last couple of years and shown you how that's looked. So there were 16 selections using this criteria for yesterday. Now that generated in the win market remember we're looking at Betfair SP win and Betfair SP place, and we're looking at lays. So yesterday generated 153.8 profit. So that's using a 10 unit stake in the win market, and in the place market £67.13. So I'm just going to take a screen grab of that so we don't lose that when I record the second part of the system. Now it's also worth pointing out, and I said this in the original video, what I do personally in the win market is I lay at a £5 stake, and I use a £10 stake in the place market. So I'm using half stakes. So this calculation that you see here in the pivot table is a half stake. Now, I think I pointed this out in the original video, but if I didn't, it's done using a calculate field. And if we go to the Betfair SP liability, you can see that it's lay liability divided by 2, and the return is the Betfair lay return divided by 2. So that is the output column that we're looking at in the dashboard and when you export to Excel. And I've used a calculate field to half it. So I'm simulating backing with a £5 stake rather than 10 in that market. The place one is using a 10, so I've not changed that. That is like for like. What you also have to remember whilst laying in at SP is that Betfair impose a minimum liability of £10. So what I'm saying is if you're laying with a £10 stake, the minimum odds you can lay at is 2 evens, because you're risking £10 to win £10. If you want to lay below evens, you have 2 options. One, you either have to lay with a greater stake than £10, or you have to lay pre-SP, so before the off, which means to test what odds historically you would have got isn't entirely accurate. You can use some degree of accuracy using the SP and gauging, because sometimes you would have laid at a better price, sometimes at a worse, but it's not going to be exact like for like. Okay, so back onto this. Let's go back to our second criteria, load that in. Lay criteria 2, select that, and it will automatically populate what I need. And I'm going to go right to the bottom here and select yesterday, generate the output here. And scroll right to the bottom, and we've got our output. So 25 selections from 21 races. Laying into the win market was actually losing on this part of the criteria, and the place lays actually generated a profit. But what we want to do is combine the two to see how it matches up. So if I bring up a calculator and just clear this down, and we bring up our screenshot. So this was the first part of the calculation. So if we look at the win market to start with, we had £156.80 in part 1. And then if we take away £57.51, so our system would have generated a profit of £99.29 in the win market. The reason it doesn't tally up with here, did just speak about it, you've got to divide it by 2. So that is how I've been trading. So if we bring the calculator back up and then divide this by 2, £49.64. So that is the profit. So I've done it in Excel the way that I've showed you back in October, and now I've replicated that using our dashboard. Now let's have a look at the place market. So £52.25 from that particular part of the strategy, £52.25, and then add that to our output. So £67.13 on that second part, £119.38, and that is exactly what we measure that to be in our Excel. So what I'm showing you here is how we displayed a system back in October and how we tested it, and how we had a massive Excel file because we had months and months worth of data. We generated a system using our pivot table criteria from these output columns that we've got at the top. We can now do that very simply using our data dashboard and the new filters that we have built in. So I hope that video is helpful in more than one way. Honestly, use the dashboard. People are really benefiting from this. It's a lot to take in, especially with these new filters. So, you've got to persevere and take your time with it. People who try it a couple of days and go, oh, this isn't working, I'm not getting anywhere. Believe me, there are ways and means to do this. And there are many members who vouch for this. They couldn't make it work for a month or two, and then they had a eureka moment and thought, oh, hang on, what if? And then they've gone away, tested and tried something, and that's worked. Now, I'm not saying you have to use our dashboard, but this certainly will give you a quicker way to hone in. And if you've derived your system using our pre-race download file, you should now be able to, certainly with the most of those filters that we've added in, you should be able to pop those in here. Easy recall. You get your list up in the morning, and then you can pop them into your, whether you're using a bot to automate, or whether you're just working off a list yourself, you've got that easy to export and straight into your system. Okay, thanks for your time on that. I hope it was useful, and we'll catch you all soon.